Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Abdullah Mason is all 20 years of him. 20 years old, that's all he is. He looks like the real thing. He had a fantastic win over Manuel Jaimes on the undercard of the Baranchek-Keyshawn Davis fight. And he, 20 years of age. I mean, he looks so poised, so mature, so confident. He's one of those fighters, those slick sharpshooters. It's also a southpaw, just to add to the mix. But he's one of those guys, he makes it look effortless. And for a kid of 20 to do this sort of thing, it's a bit special. He moves to 17 wins with 15 KOs. He stops Manuel Jaimes in 4 rounds with 4 knockdowns. And the kid looks special. And make no mistake about it, Manuel Jaimes came to win. He came to give Abdullah Mason all he could handle. And at 24 years of age, he now slips to 16 wins, 3 defeats and 1 draw. His last fight was against none other than Rolly Romero, and he lost a 10-round decision. So Abdullah Mason went 6 rounds quicker than Rolly. Heimes' other defeat was an 8-rounder to a guy with an 8-1-2 record. So you just have to say sometimes, even though Heimes came to win, was very determined, showed something, showed a lot of heart. Sometimes the other guy's just better in all departments. And you know what? Abdullah Mason is probably better in all departments than most other fighters. If he's this good at 20, I'm not quite sure how good he's going to be when he's, 25, 26, 28, be in his prime. Some people do mature early, but I definitely think that there's no hurry with this kid. I do get the impression that physically he needs to fill out, get the old proverbial man strength, and just become a complete fighter. But there's no doubt he's going in the right direction. Now, sometimes you learn lessons in life the hard way. And in his last fight against Johan Vasquez, Mason was floored twice in round 1. Vasquez was also down in round 1 and then was knocked out in round 2. But for Mason to be on the floor twice in the first round, it was, if you watch that fight, it was really down to overconfidence and sloppiness against another guy, Vasquez, who wanted to win, who didn't come to just collect his money. He came to give Mason all he could handle and to try to win. But again, we're talking about a guy who just was leagues below in terms of talent. He's not a bad fighter. Johan Vasquez is not a bad fighter. Manuel Jaimes is not a bad fighter. It's just that they're not as good as Abdullah Mason. But to go on the floor twice in the first round was maybe a lesson learned the hard way. Maybe it was one of those lessons. I think his trainer, is his trainer his father, Mason? I think it might be. He said, that was the best thing that could have happened because it woke him up. It made sure he wasn't cocky, didn't get too cocky. And Vasquez has, he came in with 26 wins and 21 KOs, so he can pop a bit. But Mason, he wasn't hurt in that opening round. He was, on the floor twice, but it didn't get up sort of staggering all over the place, which indicates that he doesn't necessarily have a bad chin. It's just he hasn't quite got that. Again, he's not filled out. He's not got that robustness that you do when you reach your physical prime. And Manuel Jaimes, getting back to I'm talking a lot about the previous fight, but Manuel Jaimes, from the word go, he was trying to get on Mason's chest and land his own punches, not single punches, clusters. And I wouldn't say many of them were getting through clean, but he was at least making Mason work. So you would think, although Mason looked completely relaxed in there. Now in the second round, first round, Mason was really just having a look at Heimes. In the second round, Mason feinted with a jab. He's a southpaw, so it was a right hand jab, and then brought a razor sharp backhand over and put Heimes on the floor. Heimes got up. He was a bit shaken. I wouldn't say he was buzzed badly, but he was shaken. It got back into it, and the round, concluded with Mason pretty much dominating. So that's a 10-8 round straight off the bat. In the third round, more of the same. It was, let me think now, what was it? An uppercut to the body, I think. I'm struggling to. There were 4 knockdowns. I'm struggling to think which was which. But in the third round, I believe there was an uppercut, because again, Heimes came in and was standing square on, and he was in that pocket where you'd think it would benefit him more, because Mason, even though he can have a fight, he likes to sort of do his work at mid to long range. Heimes came in close, and Mason just, Heimes was, really desperately trying to land his own punches. He was throwing them. He was trying to make Mason work, cover up, not think about what he was going to do, but rather what was coming at him. And then Mason fired his own combination, and there was a left uppercut that came in that floored Heimes. So that's the second time in the fight he's been floored. In only 3 rounds, but he's again showed a lot of grit, got to the 4th round, and in the 4th round Mason lowered the boom. There was a big backhand that put Heimes over, and it was again really fast. This kid's fast with his fists, very fast. I like his shape, I like his balance as well, the way he holds himself. He's got that, I want to say, a sort of almost like he reminded me a little bit of a peak Don Curry. Kind of upright. He's southpaw, which Curry wasn't, but likes to counter, but at the same time is very aggressive. Can be just as aggressive on the back foot, waiting for the guy to come in, as he can on the front foot. But looked to me like a pure boxer fighter, Mason. So anyway, down backhand. Southpaw backhand, which is your left hand, puts Heimes over again. He gets up again. No problem, ref. I'm all right. Let's do it. He goes back into the fray, and then the final knockdown was a huge right hand, which put Heimes not on his backside, but on his back. And he was getting up. The ref stopped the fight there and then, but Heimes was on his way up. This guy, I think this is the first time he's been stopped. And Rolly Romero, whatever you say about Rolly's technical limitations, he can hit a bit. It's a different type of punching that he does. His is more a sort of sack of cement thudding, hitting you with a sack of cement, whereas Mason is more sort of laser-like. It's more sharpshooting. But Heimes, game kid, he's only 24. He can, if I was him, I'd say, all right, I've just lost to the better man. But, get back in the gym, start working hard if he wants to carry on. Don't see why he shouldn't. He's only 24. But for Mason, the world is his oyster. I wouldn't rush him. I'm all for getting him up to, maybe fighting top 15, top 20, top 15 fighters. But I always think it's best to just bring them on bit at a time. And these are 140-pounders. Abdullah Mason, they're not 140. They're lightweights. I think it's Heimes who's fought at 140. Yes, he would have done if he fought Rolly. But Mason is actually a lightweight. And we're talking, lightweights. We're talking Andy Cruz, Keyshawn Davis, of course, in the main event, beat Baranchek in 4 rounds, knocked him out. So he's got the WBO belt. There's some lightweights out there that I've no doubt right now Mason could give him a good fight. But why jump? Why jump up quantum leaps? Why not just take it nice and steady, be a steady Eddie, work on your craft, fight some top 15 guys, really build up your resume. Because when all is said and done, Abdullah Mason has only been 6 rounds twice, 2 6-round decisions. Like I say, he's got 17 wins now with 15 KOs. You need the rounds under your belt. If a world title fight is 12 rounds, that's 36 minutes of boxing. That's a long, long time if you're in there with a guy who can take your punch, who can time your speed. So I'm all for Mason at 20 years of age being brought along correctly, and not slowly, ultra slowly, but just let him, give him some guys who are going to give him rounds, because that jump up, it is a quantum leap. So what do you think of Abdullah Mason? Let me know your opinions. I like him a lot. I wouldn't read too much into being on the floor twice against Vasquez. He never came close to being on the floor against Heimes. But let me know what you think of him overall. How do you think he should be brought along? Who would you like to see him fight next? And comments below, and I'll give him a read. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit the like button as well. That would be a great deal, great support for the channel, and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Much appreciated, ladies and gentlemen, and bye for now.